afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we know that people will be logging on as they are able to this evening. We attempted back in August to do this Facebook Live to be able to share information with families and interested individuals in the district, and we had a lot of very positive feedback from doing this, and so we thought, well, we would try it again because we have a lot of information to share again this evening. So my name is Annette Thompson, and I'm the district administrator for the district, and I do want to tell you, last time I talked about the fact that I had gone gray, and some of you had talked to me about how grateful you were to hear that others in the pandemic are going gray, so thank you for the support. I really appreciated that. I have to tell you that if I don't sound like myself tonight, I had a tooth extracted yesterday, so we just time these things at really wonderful times. So just wanted you to know that's who we are. We are real, and we're just here to share information with you. So we're going to introduce ourselves, and then I'll tell you a bit about how this is going to work.
I'm Jessica Johnson. I am the middle school and high school principal.
I'm Jenny Hilsman. I'm the elementary principal, and I obviously did not get the memo, but I'm still here.
Hi, I'm Marcia Modaff. I'm the middle school, high school associate principal, and I'm also the district athletic director.
Hello, I'm Paula Hoyne, and I am the Director of Special Education for the district.
Well, some of us are wearing shirts that contain our welcome back theme, and we decided this year to use a theme called Home Again, because we had from March until we were able to bring our students and staff back a long time when we were not together as a district, and we wanted to emphasize this idea of homecoming, to be able to come back together. And so you're going to hear celebrations. We're going to hear this afternoon about the things that are happening in our building that we want to make sure you hear this evening. And we also have some specific updates to share about things like the lunch program, how to get a hot spot, about athletics, the pickup procedure. So we've got some specific things to share out. And we hope to leave time at the very end then to answer your questions. So stick with us. We hope to share information and then hear from you. So we're going to begin with what's happening in our buildings. So I'm not sure which of you want to go first, but whoever would like to go ahead.
I can go. All right, so at the middle and high school, kids are so excited to be back. It's not even cool to pretend that you like being back to school at that age, but they enjoy being back to school. We actually had students take a survey at last Friday, and the majority of the feedback shows that kids are so happy to be back. They really appreciate the different activities that their teachers have been doing in their classrooms to get them to know each other and get to know school and learn the new procedures. The majority of our kids are doing a really good job of following the new precautions of wearing their face coverings, sanitizing desks. We're able to have an 8-period day. We still have things like Phi-Ed and band and choir, and so students are very happy for that. Teenagers are naturally very social beings, so we're still working on social distancing, constantly practicing that, but giving opportunities when it's not raining for students to also go outside and take a little mask break, and continue to talk about things that are happening in school as well.
And I'm going to reiterate, at the elementary, we are exceptionally excited to be back at school. Teachers were happy to see our students again, and students were happy to see us and each other. I have to say they have done a really fantastic job of learning the routines and getting used to the things that were new for them this year. The face coverings is not a big deal. They wear them. We also go outside as much as possible and socially distance. We had set up some visuals for some of our students so that they kind of have an idea of how far apart to stay from one another. We are really, really good at washing our hands now, and even our blended learning kids are able to join in with us here at school. We're ready to get started on our content, and we've spent the last couple of weeks getting really good at here's how our routines are working, here's who is in our class, how are we going to accomplish all of our tasks each day. We've learned some new programs on our iPads. Our elementary kids take their iPads home every day so that if the next day they need to log in on Blue Jeans to join us, they can do that. We have kids coming back with their iPads charged and ready to go. So that's working out really well as well.
A couple of other things that I'm thinking of at middle school and high school, We are finding some students who are struggling with the face coverings. It's often just because they haven't found one that works really well for them. For example, students who wear glasses, it is really helpful if they have a face covering that has a nose piece so that way their glasses don't fog up, or just finding the right size for their face. And so we've been trying to help students who maybe just don't have the right one. We appreciate parents who are helping with that at home as well. And Mrs. Hillsman talked about our students that are at home for blended learning. That is going really well for the students who started out with that. And then we've had students who have already started staying at home because they just weren't sure about coming to school based on how they were feeling, and they're able to connect to Blue Jeans as well for their instruction. At middle school and high school, students do need to participate in each class period of the day following their period day schedule in Blue Jeans. If teachers do not see them on Blue Jeans, then they are marking them as absent. So some parents have gotten phone calls after the start of the day because a student may have been in Blue Jeans for first, second, and third hour, but then didn't go to their Blue Jeans class fourth hour, and so they were marked absent. And so that is something that we're paying attention to. We're working really hard at how to take attendance in all of those different ways, because it is challenging for teachers to keep doing that. They're having to be like an octopus in the classroom with teachers or students in the room and looking at their computer and talking on the headset to the students at home. They're doing a really good job of that. We do still ask that if your child is staying home, that parents, you still report that to the office so that we know we should be expecting them on Blue Jeans and being able to reach out in case there are any technology issues to help that student continue their learning even from home.
And at the elementary level, the classroom teachers will provide a schedule of what times they should be logging into Blue Jeans to connect with their class. So it's a little bit different than middle school and high school, but each classroom teacher will be able to share that schedule with their whole class.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to athletics, because this is something different and new, and so Mrs. Modap is going to share with us an update on athletics and what that's gonna look like this fall.
Yeah, I've got a lot of information to share with the families. We currently have one sport that is in their actual season, and that is the sport of cross country. Numerous competition dates have been changed for both our middle school and high school teams, and the purpose was to separate the meets and to reduce the number of runners that were at competitions. The coaches continue to share the calendar updates with the runners and the families. The school website calendar is also updated as these changes are confirmed, and I had 3 more changes just today that happened for cross country. Some host schools have also closed their meets, and that means they do not allow spectators to come and attend. Some of the cross-country competitions are held at public sites like golf courses, so these locations are subject to the county's Department of Public Health guidelines. We want our student athletes to continue to be able to compete, so we need all of our spectators and our fans to follow all of these expectations. Please understand, though, if necessary, they could end up canceling events or races if we don't have spectators that are abiding by these expectations. This week we started some after-school speed, strength, agility, and fitness activities. It was intended to start for our middle school and high school, and Mother Nature has just totally impacted that plan. So we've had only our high school students here after school at night. All of our fall coaches are working together to provide a variety of activities. This will continue again tomorrow, hoping the weather cooperates so our middle school student athletes can join us, and we'll be doing that all next week. Students again can sign up for the late bus for this, so we want to provide these opportunities getting ready for the start of our seasons, which officially is September 21st. That's going to be the first day for all levels of our football, that's middle school and high school, all levels of our volleyball, also middle school and high school, and our high school boys soccer. A reminder that students have to have all the completed forms turned into the office before they can actively start participating. On the school website, there is a list of all of the forms. You can download those as parents if you want. And also I've been asking and encouraging students to come into the office to pick up those forms so they could take them right home to you and get them signed. Again, our late bus is continuing to run each day. The students can sign up via a link on our student announcements, so that has been going well as well. We have football equipment distribution that needs to take place, and this all occurs before the season officially starts. So next Thursday, September 17th, all the football coaches will be distributing equipment to both the middle school and high school programs, and that will start after our strength, speed, and conditioning program is done at 5 o'clock. I've sent envelopes home with Trojan Junior football players with this information. It's been posted because there's coach and player meetings, and then we have it tiered for them getting their equipment. So please double check those letters. It's also posted on our website. We're all wearing our face coverings here during this Facebook Live, and so it's a reminder that during all of our athletic activities and practices, that all of the athletes must be wearing their face coverings as well. We cannot guarantee the social distancing of 6 feet during all of the activities. We want our students back on the courts and back on the fields, so we need to keep everyone safe by everyone maintaining the wearing their face coverings. Regarding competitions for football, volleyball, and soccer, all of the competitions have been delayed and are not starting until October 1st. Schedules have been reworked to provide our athletes and teams as many opportunities as possible to compete this fall. Please understand that all the dates that are posted are subject to change because an opponent may have a change in their school status due to COVID. Parents need to continue to check the website, watch for electronic updates from the school, myself, from coaches. We will keep you informed with this. Athletics always incorporates spectators at our events, and spectators are an important part of athletics, but there's also some new changes and new challenges in the midst of this pandemic. Again, we want to provide our parents, our community, the opportunity to view our events. So all of our indoor events are going to be live streamed via Facebook, just like this presentation, and that will be done for volleyball this fall. We are also going to be recording all of the outdoor games of football and soccer, and those are going to be available on our district website. So we encourage you to check in on those and be able to support our teams that way. Dodgeland competes with schools that are going to cover more than 13 different counties in southern Wisconsin. And each county could establish some different requirements for spectators at their school-based events based on the COVID data within their own areas, which then in turn affects a school's decision and policy for spectators at their home events. Please be aware, there may be schools that do not allow any spectators coming into their school or onto their campus, and those schools more than likely are going to be providing, again, the Facebook or the live streaming opportunities for you to see that. We need everyone's cooperation, whether it's home games or away games, to please adhere to these rules and these new guidelines. Our goal is we want our students and athletes back on the courts, back on the fields competing. So thank you in advance for helping us with this. Within our Trailways Conference, we have 24 different schools, again, spanning across many different counties. So again, there's going to be some spectator guidelines that parents need to understand and know. We are going to be posting regular updates and informing parents, depending on which school we're going to, what those spectator policies are. Likewise, the visiting teams will know what our spectator guidelines are so that we have consistency of what's happening, whether you are at a Dodgeland home event as a Dodgeland spectator or someone else. Dodgeland is going to be limiting the number of spectators allowed to attend our home event. Each athlete will be allowed a set number of spectators that will be permitted to come into our school gymnasium or stadiums outside. The same is going to be done for the soccer games played at the Wild Goose Park. Spectators that are coming from the same household will be permitted to sit together because you reside together. Spectators that are coming from different households, you are going to have to be sitting at socially distanced spaces. We are going to have locations that are marked on the bleachers and the seats located at 6 feet distances apart. And whether you're inside or outside, we need spectators to follow these seating requirements. Again, we want to keep our athletes safe, but we also want to keep everyone that's coming to these events safe as well. I want to share with you that our Trailways Conference has also established a rule regarding face coverings. And face coverings are required by all people that are attending any indoor events. There are no exceptions to this rule, so please be aware of that in advance. Admission is something that has always been charged at home high school events. This year at Dodgeland, we will not be charging any admission coming into our events, and we also will not be selling concessions. That's to eliminate the exchange of any currency and any contamination. So please also be aware that that's what our policy is. You may end up going to another school where they may be charging admission. Each school has the option and the right to make that determination for themselves. We know that these procedures are very different for our athletic events, and we need everyone's cooperation in following these procedures. Again, priority number one is safety for everyone. We are still finalizing Dodgeland spectator plans at this time, since our Dodge County COVID data continues to change and our competitions do not start until October 1st, so things still could be shifting and changing. When we have our plan finalized, we are going to surely communicate that with all of our district families and all of our communities so that you're informed. We will use our social media. We will use School Messenger, our district website, to keep you informed about all of these updates.
Thank you, Mrs. Modaff. Now we're going to switch. We're going to talk a bit about our new drop-off and pickup procedures, and I think in particular the pickup procedures. So Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Hilsman, if you'd like to share an update there.
So our pickup procedures are getting refined more and more every day. The staggered release and from the all of the different entrances and exits is working. Our kids are getting onto the bus at between 2:30 and 2:38 or so, and then the buses are moving over to the middle school and high school side to pick up their bus riders. As the cars are coming in to come up to the front, we're trying to encourage our elementary kids to make sure that they're watching for parents. We have a lot of staff that are outside kind of trying to help get students to the right cars. If you had a last name sign in your window, that helps us a lot because we can help then find kids, especially when they are in more than one spot in the front of the school. Today and every day this week, it seems like as soon as school lets out, the rain starts going a little bit heavier, which makes it a little bit more complicated to get through. One thing that we want to make sure that you are aware, at least at the elementary level, is sometimes when parents are coming in, there's a lot of space up in the curve that's towards the end of the circle drive, but there's a backup towards the end of it. So you can move around a car that's parked along the curb and move back into the curb part. And likewise, once you have picked up your children, you can move to the left and then proceed out of the driveway.
Yeah, if you came on the first day of school and you haven't come since then, it's gotten a lot better. Our buses are leaving before we even scheduled because everything is moving so quickly. Students know where to go. And then the cars are able to start pulling in. The same thing at the middle school and high school. We have a lot of curb that we can fill up in the front to make sure we get more cars in. We just ask for your patience and awareness to not block a roadway. For example, if elementary parents are trying to leave the elementary circle drive, if middle school, high school parents are right in front waiting, then these people can't leave and they're not happy. And also as you're coming in, to make sure that you're not stopping your car in front of the handicap stalls, because we do have some students that need to get picked up at the handicap stalls. So just being mindful of that, of when you should pull forward and when not to wait so that you have that space. But other than that, it's been going really well. Just making sure that we are not going around those buses. We have to wait until the buses leave and the barricades are down for parents to come and pick up students. So we thank you so much for your patience, and especially that you share it with grandparents if it's their day to come and pick up, because we have had some very surprised grandparents that didn't know what was going on. So if you have somebody else picking up your child, just to please let them know when to come and where to go.
We have also received some questions about what's going to happen with face covering when the emergency order expires at the end of the month, if it's not continued. And so we want to make sure that we go back to our original reopening plan that was board approved before the emergency order went into effect. And that plan required face coverings whenever we cannot be socially distanced of 6 feet or more. And so if we have spaces within the building where students and staff can be 6 feet or more apart from each other, then they would be able to remove their face coverings as long as they can maintain that social distance. But anything less than that, a face covering would still be required. And so we know, for examples, going into the hallways in the high school at passing time, face coverings would be required. Certain activities, face coverings would still be required. We've worked hard, I think, to try and give breaks to students throughout the day by getting outside, by doing activities where they can be able to get a break, but moving forward into October, we still need to remember that this is something that we're doing to help keep each other safe. Then we also wanted to give you an update on our no-cost breakfast and lunch. You may have been hearing something about this. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, which governs the free and reduced meals, had a program where they've extended until the end of December that says any student, so not just students that qualify for free or reduced meals, are able to have free breakfast and free lunch every day. That program is in effect until the end of December. So if you would like your child to have breakfast, we have stations set up as the students enter the building. They can just pick up a sack, usually it's packaged food and a carton of milk, and they go right to their classroom, and that's where they would have breakfast. Similarly, if your child likes cold lunch and that's what you want to continue, that's absolutely fine. But if you'd like your child to have hot lunch, they are welcome to join us at no cost to you through the end of this year, through the end of 2020. We don't know if it's going to be in effect for the 2021 portion of the school year, but we know it's happening now. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Similarly, we've been asked questions about, are we going to be doing the pickup or delivery of meals like we did in the spring? And we were really proud of how responsive we were in the spring in terms of, on a very short notice, we were able to create Meals on Wheels, and Mrs. Modak was very instrumental in making that happen. Individuals going throughout the district, dropping off food right to homes so that students could have nutritious food for the week. We do not have the capacity to do that because we have, all of those individuals are here now working with students. They have work to do. But what we are going to offer, and this is going to begin next Thursday, you will receive information for a number for you to call, and that number is for you to say, I would like a meals. And they're going to be boxed up for the week. And so you'll receive a box of breakfast and lunches for your child, and then you will need to come to pick up those meals on Friday. And so then you will have for the weekend and then into the next week food for your child there at home. And so we encourage you to do this. It's something that we are honored to be able to help our community in a time of need. We just ask for your cooperation, as you've heard multiple times. We wish that we had the ability to continue the home delivery, but we simply don't because, again, we have many students here in the building learning and working with us, and so we're going to need to do a pickup instead. And then also we want to talk about the hotspots and the process for being able to have access to something like that. Similarly, in the spring, when we had to move to a total virtual environment, we tried hard to use every available means to get internet into the homes, including taking hotspots off of buses and getting them into as many homes as we could. We learned a lot last spring about how difficult it is to get internet into some homes. It's not sometimes an issue of a hotspot because it's just that no cellular data is able to be accessible in that home. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a plan that is sustainable. The cost that we incurred last spring was significant. And again, it was our honor to be able to make that happen in such a unprecedented time to know that we needed to stay connected. between school and home. But what we want to do now is we want to create a plan that is sustainable, not for a short duration, but for a long duration. Because the issue of a lack of high-speed broadband internet is something that's going to take years to be able to rectify. It's not going to be something that's going to be changed overnight. So we've got a couple of different options. One, we do have hotspots that you could let us know that you would like to check out. There is a process for that, and so we ask you to go online. There's a link for you to fill out. There's some questions to be answered, and then we would work with you if it is possible for you to A, qualify, and B, for that to work in your home. Again, we learned last year we would try a Verizon, we would try a US Cellular, and neither would work. And so we want to deploy those in areas where we know we're going to be able to have connections that work. So we needed to come up with something different, and so we had this idea of almost making our building a giant hotspot. And what that means is we are going to open our doors in the afternoon and evenings for students who would like to come in and use our Wi-Fi, our internet here at school, which we know is robust. We know they're going to be able to do all the work that they need to here at school. Staff will be able to sign up for an opportunity to supervise that, so that you will always have a staff member here in the afternoon and evening. You can sign up for one slot that works best for you, and so your child can use the building here. We will probably be using the common space for that, so it's in a safe place, a well-lit place for students to be able to come in. We're also, and this should happen by the middle of October, we're going to be pushing our internet out of the building as well. And so for somebody who just needs to be able to have a small amount of time to be able to download something into Schoology, to make sure that they've got what they need to be able to go home and do their work, you are going to be able to drive into our parking lots and to be able to have access to the internet that way. So we're trying to come up with two different options that we think will be helpful to our families, and we hope that you're able to use them. I think at this point, we're ready for some Q&A. So do we have any questions? Yep.
Yeah, so one of the questions was for a student who is in blended learning, what to do if the student is on but the teacher doesn't show. I'm not sure of that exact scenario, but I will say if it was during the first couple days of school, lunch was late and therefore all of our afternoon classes were late. We've got a better system in place for that now, so that may have been the reason. There could be different situations of why that might happen, and I don't know all the answers, but I would just suggest that you or the student email that teacher just to let them know you tried to get on but didn't see them. There are some classes where it's not going to work to live stream. For example, our Phi Ed teachers, when they're, it's not going to be appropriate for a student to watch the students in class exercise. They're going to have an exercise log that they're doing at home instead.
And it's possible that the teacher thinks that they're on and that it's all working and doesn't know unless you communicate that, hey, I'm here and I don't see anybody here. So it would be really important to communicate with the teacher of that classroom too, to say, hey, I was here and I couldn't see anybody, just to make sure.
Yeah, and then along with that, so something that the teachers are finding is that they'll see students are online on Blue Jeans, but the students have shut off their camera and shut off their microphone. And we're okay if students, shut off their camera. They don't want the student or the teacher to see them at home. That's okay. But we've been finding sometimes teachers will say, "Hey, Jenny, are you able to find that?" And there's no reply from the student, so the teacher, it doesn't seem like the student really is there. And that's where the teachers are looking for the student. Sometimes we've had students email teachers in the middle of class, but teachers are not looking at their email while they're teaching and looking at Blue Jeans. So it's just something we're trying to work through and do the best that we can in that situation. There's a question about cars parking for the elementary school. We're not sure of that exact question, Tara, but cars should be coming in the circle drive to pick up students and just continuing to move that flow until they get there.
Right.
You might have to send us another message if we're not clear on what that is.
Yeah.
And yes, I said at the beginning, we're working on social distancing for our students when they're outside. It's something that we're continuing to work on. Yes, we're getting a mask break, getting teenagers to understand that we still need to be airplane arms apart. is a challenge because they like their friends. So we are working on that and constantly reminding students. You could probably ask your child if they've been reminded by a teacher or a staff member about being socially distanced. I'm sure they've been reminded.
It's not just teenagers.
Yeah. It's adults too.
And we're working on it.
Something else that's not a question on here, but I just want to highlight that we have been continuing to utilize School Messenger to push out emails and text messages. An example of one, I think, was yesterday for Picture Day, which is on Monday. So if you did not receive an email or a text message, please email one of us because we are working so hard to try to communicate with our families, but sometimes those emails end up in your spam or your junk, or we're finding your text messages, your phone is not set up to receive our messages. And it's a simple process that you just have to text yes to a number, and then you're gonna be opted in to receive those. We are trying super hard to get this information, but you might not know what you're not getting if you're not getting it. So if you didn't get a picture message yesterday, let us know that, because Picture Day is on Monday. Have we had any cases of COVID yet this year in the school?
We have not.
No.
I think the safety protocols that we've put into place, the cooperation that we've experienced by staff and students is really helpful. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to control what happens outside of school, and that's bringing things into the building, but at this point, we are very fortunate to be open, our doors are open, our classes are happening, and we wanna keep it that way.
Another question is about the boxed meals that are going, no, I lost it. The boxed meals for the week apply to the kids learning from home in the semester. That is what the
Yes,
boxed
that's
meals are referring to.
Right, yes.
That if your children are at home for virtual learning or blended learning, that you'll be able to fill out.
Right, it's a simple phone call to Mrs. Lamb. She has a number set up that you will call. You'll let her know that you're requesting the boxed food. I will tell you the menu won't follow exactly what the school menu is because we can't give you spaghetti on Friday. That's going to still be okay on the following Thursday, but she is going to try and approximate the menu as best she can. But yes, if you're in a virtual or blended learning environment, you are welcome to request that box of food for your family.
Another question is if or when schools have to close, will students be required to attend each class? Yes, the one thing we learned in the spring is that when we did not have synchronous classes for students to log in at certain times, students did not follow a schedule themselves, and that meant they got very behind on their learning. So our plan is that they would be following their schedule from home as well. That way they can continue their learning every day and keep that routine. Have kids been out sick without a confirmed case? We've had students stay home because they have symptoms. We have not been notified of a COVID case. All right, we're just looking for some more pictures or some questions.
Okay. Well, I can see we are at 5:33. We also want to be respectful of everyone's evening. We're sure it's time to turn to other things as a family. So in closing, if you've not had an opportunity to find the Home Again video on our website, I would encourage you to look at that because I think that helps make sense why we are celebrating the return of our staff and students, because we are delighted to be back as a Dodgeland family, learning together, working together, and we thank you for all that you're doing on your end to send us your students, your children when they are safe and ready to learn. So thank you for joining us, and we think we may continue this on a regular basis, so watch again for information if we decide to do this in October. Thank you.
Have a good day.